Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts. For the last couple of years, it feels like the whole conversation around AI and creativity has just been, dominated by fear.
Oh, absolutely. It's all been about replacement, about generation.
Right, this idea that the human creator is about to become obsolete. But if you look really closely at the sources we've got today, there's a quiet, almost revolutionary shift happening.
It's a total reframe.
Yeah, it's using AI not for generation, but for the perpetual preservation of human creative work.
It's like the ultimate form of digital archiving, but with a voice that can still perform. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Ed Fassio's very ambitious project, Agented, and that's pronounced Agent Ed.
We have poured over a bunch of articles and interviews about this project. At its core, it's a debut album called Androids Need Love Too, which uses an engineered voice to perform songs Fassio wrote over, 2 decades?
More than that. And the sources bring up some really profound questions. So that's our mission here. If you want to understand how a project like this redefines the whole relationship between an artist's original intent and, the final digital delivery.
So we need to get into the philosophy of it all, the questions around authenticity, human limitation in art, and what legacy even means when a voice never, ever ages.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with the creator himself, Ed Fassio. He's not your typical musician.
Not at all. He's a veteran of both music and tech worlds. He founded ITCHY Music Group way back and then had these huge roles at places like Adobe and Apple.
And that background is so critical here, isn't it? This isn't just an artist messing around with some new tech.
No, this is a tech leader applying a deep architectural understanding of digital systems to a musical problem. And his solution is this digital persona, Agented.
The key thing to remember is that Fassio wrote everything. Every melody, every lyric, every single chord progression, all the human stuff is his.
All of it. Spanning from when he was in his early 20s right up to today. But the vocal performance, the actual voice you hear singing those words, that's entirely the engineered persona of Agented.
It's just fascinating because it's not just a new album. It's a chronological time capsule. But it's performed by a machine that doesn't age.
And that gets right to his core argument about continuity. The sources point out that this album has songs from as far back as 2001.
Wow, 2001.
Yeah, right next to tracks he wrote much more recently, like Don't Think is from 2018, If You Ever Want to Fall in Love Again is 2020. And there's even one titled Old Guitars that was written in 2025.
Think about that for a second. Over 2 decades, a real human voice changes dramatically in that time. Your style, your tone, your range. But here, the same engineered voice performs a 2001 song and a 2025 song, and sonically, they're unified.
That unity was the entire point. Fassio talked about having all these songs that, just never found their moment. They were trapped. He wanted to bring them forward without pretending I was still the same person, but also without, say, forcing a 50-year-old's voice onto a composition from a 20-year-old. Agented is that continuity. It's the consistent filter for all these different eras of his creativity.
That completely reframes the AI conversation. It shifts it away from, is AI going to replace me? And toward, can AI preserve me?
It's a huge distinction. And Agented's argument is that AI just belongs in this long lineage of tools that humans have always created to extend their expression.
Like a camera extending our memory, or a synthesizer extending our sonic palette.
Exactly. We don't fear those things. The argument is that a digital voice extends our narrative and performance capabilities across time itself.
But this is where the skepticism comes in, and Fassio clearly knew it would. When he was asked about the lack of a human voice, he came back with this really great counter-argument. He told people to think of Agented as an instrument.
That instrument analogy is so crucial for, easing the public into this. He says a beautiful old guitar or a grand piano, they don't age, they don't get tired.
Right?
But when a human plays them, they convey incredible emotion and intent.
Okay. But I have to push back a little on that because I think a lot of our listeners would too. A piano doesn't have a cultural history of its strings aging and cracking with emotion. We have centuries of tradition that tells us a vocal performance is powerful because of its vulnerability.
That is the perfect question.
So isn't asking us to just accept a flawless engineered voice asking us to ignore all that cultural history?
It is, and Fassio's answer is just as challenging. He basically argues that the humanity isn't really stored in the delivery medium, in the voice. It's stored in what he calls the emotional architecture of the song itself.
Emotional architecture.
Okay.
That's a little abstract.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in musical terms?
It's the core human decisions. It's the choice to use a minor chord when the lyric is about loss. It's the specific rhythm of the phrasing, the way the words land on the beat. It's even the silence, the rests between notes.
Ah, I see.
Those are all deeply human, emotionally driven choices baked into the composition. The digital voice is just a high-fidelity speaker, delivering that architecture exactly as the human intended without the interference of ego or physical limits.
Okay, so the feeling is literally engineered into the song's structure, no matter who or what is singing it. But this leads us right to I think, the core tension of this whole project. The battle between human fragility and digital flawlessness.
This is the philosophical heart of it, truly. Human performance gets so much of its power from its limitations. You think of a singer's voice straining to hit a high note, or the little crack of emotion, or just the character that age adds to a voice.
Those are the imperfections we connect with. They signal that something real is at stake.
Yes. And agented, being digital, just removes all of those variables. It is, by its very nature, consistent, technically perfect, and it will be young forever.
Which is where the technical production choices become so important to the art.
Massively important. Fassio knew that if the voice was too perfect, it would just sound sterile, unrelatable. So the sources say he went to great lengths to humanize the sound, but without faking flaws.
So no fake vocal cracks or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. He avoided the super heavy auto-tuning and quantization that makes so many digital vocals sound robotic.
So how do you keep the truth of the song if you're not going to simulate human error?
Well, he and his team spent a lot of time dialing back the technical polish. They kept the production really warm, almost like a 70s or 80s analog record. And more importantly, they allowed for tiny, subtle timing variations in the vocals.
Like the way a real singer would be slightly ahead or behind the beat.
Exactly. It's a humanizing thing that digital systems usually smooth out. The goal wasn't to simulate a flaw. It was to preserve the groove and the emotional cadence of a human performance.
That's fascinating. So the project is really handing you, the listener, a challenge. It's asking, when you hear this incredibly human composition delivered flawlessly by a machine, does that clarity strengthen your connection to the creator? Or does it weaken it?
Do we need imperfection in art more than we need technical truth? That's the conversation he wants to start.
Which brings us to that album title, Androids Need Love Too.
It's a brilliant provocation, isn't it? Fassio is using it to point out how we as humans project our own identities and emotions onto our tools all the time. He's inviting curiosity about where that line of authenticity really is, instead of just demanding fear or acceptance.
And this goes so far beyond just one musician's archive. The implications for a creative legacy are, well, they're massive. This model could be a template for any creator.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about writers, filmmakers, visual artists. You could use an AI to build a secondary voice that carries your ideas forward forever.
The very idea of an artist's work being lost to time could. It could basically become a thing of the past.
And that opens up this incredible opportunity, right? It democratizes archiving. Think of all the brilliant, unfinished work out there just lost to history. It could finally be completed with the artist's original intent totally intact.
But the flip side of that is just as immense, the complexity.
This is where you have to pause and really think. I mean, cultural history has always worked in cycles of, renewal, forgetting, and then rediscovery. New generations define themselves by what they reject from the past or what they dig up and reclaim.
So if every single piece of creative work is universally archived and always accessible, always performed by an immortal digital voice, how do future generations find any room to breathe? Where does novelty come from if the past is never ending?
Fassio seems to be wrestling with that himself. He mentioned a track on the album, When the Ending Never Comes. He wrote it a decade ago.
Before agented was even a thing.
Way before. And its original working title was The Count, a clear reference to Dracula and the burden of immortality.
Wow. That's an incredible bit of synchronicity. A song he wrote years ago ends up describing the exact philosophical problem of his own project. the story that refuses to end.
It really shows you he's not just a tech guy. He's an artist grappling with these huge, timeless questions. But he also found this unexpected creative advantage in all this digital consistency. He realized he could freeze a creative moment.
And what does that mean in practice?
It means he could go back to a song he started in 2005, and the core creative idea was perfectly preserved. He didn't have to guess, what was I thinking back then, or can my voice still do that? Agented holds the moment intact. It allowed him to finish work he just couldn't complete years ago.
So the preservation actually becomes an expansion of his creative ability.
Exactly.
So as we pull this all together, what we have is an album that is this cultural artifact. And it presents two truths at the exact same time.
Truth number one, AI is a monumentally powerful tool for preservation. It can carry human intention and that emotional architecture across decades, giving a kind of continuity that was never possible before.
And truth number two, introducing an engineered, ageless voice forces us to confront our deepest beliefs about authenticity, about imperfection, and whether we're sacrificing the vulnerability we crave in art for technical perfection and a perfect archive.
And agented isn't the final answer to that debate. It's the deliberate starting point. Fassio just wants listeners to be curious, to recognize that if the music moves you, that feeling comes from the stories and the choices a human being made.
That curiosity is everything, because what he's done is create a viable template for the digital legacy of any creator. It changes the question from, can AI make something new, to, can AI make sure my essential human ideas never really die?
Which leaves us all with a pretty provocative thought to sit with. If every creator's work, from the greatest masterpiece to the quickest sketch, can now be carried forward forever by a digital avatar, never fading, never forgotten, how will future generations even define artistic originality? In a cultural landscape that is perpetually crowded by the past, what, if anything, will become important enough for us to choose to forget?
Thanks for listening to the Reflect Podcast, where we're telling the future. Are you in it? Visit reflectpodcast.com and share your story.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.